Hey guys, I wanted to put together a video that kind of really explains and gets into detail of how we do an interview in our office. And what I've found, the way we do it, it has become very duplicatable. The words that I use, kind of the lyric that I use, becomes very consistent. And so I kind of want to share that with you so that you could practice it at home and have the same results that we have here at the office. And so I've got Mike here, and he's gonna help me out. But when you have a guest or your interview comes into our office, the first thing that you want to grab is kind of an interview sheet, and it looks like this, and it allows for them to spend 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes to kind of fill this thing out. You may be finishing up an interview, and this allows you to buy some time because your interview, if you set it at 2 o'clock, they'll show up usually at 1:50. Okay, they usually come early, and this gives them a chance to fill some of that out. And so you'll notice that it'll ask for not only just their name, but how long they've lived in the area. It'll ask them what their current and previous occupation is, and then 5 reference names. And then there's a series of questions that you find in the IBA, or the Independent Business Application, on the Turbo apps on Primerica Online, and it just allows you to go through the process a lot faster. One of the things you're looking for is, are they a felon? Are they a U.S. citizen? Because if they're not, if they have a felony, chances are this is kind of a wasted interview for you. If they're not a U.S. citizen, this is not an opportunity for them at this time. And so you want to fill this out, you want to look at it, and then you can use it as a tool. The second thing that I'll be referencing in our interview is our interview questions. Okay, I'll be going through it as I'm talking to Mike, but go ahead and find it on the website. There's no harm in printing it out and having it with you, using it as a guide as you're going through the interview process. It would be great to memorize it, but I want more of you to go out there and to interact very, very quickly. So just kind of go through the 8 questions and just follow along, and you'll find great success in doing that. The other item that we use is, it's called the one-on-one recruiting brochure, found on Primerica Online. You can download a free PDF. The PDF is on our training website as well. But I would encourage you to go out onto the company store and purchase these. They're 15 cents a piece, and the code is A9260, A9260, and order a bunch. Invest the 15 cents, because you'll see I mark all over it, and it's a leave behind that I give to the person so they can go and just kind of look at some of the information that we share with them. They're not going to be able to retain everything, but it's a great value piece for them. Another item that will be on the website is, I do not keep this piece of paper like this on my desk. I actually have I snapshot it and put it on my phone, and I carry it with me wherever I go. And it talks about why people should own a home-based business, and you'll kind of see how I use that in the cash flow quadrant. And I usually pick up my phone and I go to my photo section and I walk through that, and I find that this is a great value add that gives me a lot of momentum in my presentation. If you feel like it doesn't bring you the momentum, that's one area that you could drop out, but you may want to add that in if you feel very, very comfortable with that. So I wanted to point that out to you guys, and so that's it. That the presentation we use is just a simple, we call 4-page presentation. It allows you to have a lot of confidence. We're not, using a lot of pages, and it's going to allow you to kind of go through the interview kind of at a quick pace. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Mike here, and Mike's going to help me with the interview. Mike's right over here, and then when I get to the cash flow quadrant, I'll shift right back to you guys. And so, Mike, I appreciate you taking a few minutes to sit with me today, and I'm sure you have some questions for me, and I'd like to answer those, but I have some questions for you too. Is it all right if I ask you a few questions?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. And so the acronym, guys, that we want to use, like we do at the kitchen table, is FORM: family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. And so I'm going to kind of go through that with Mike here right now. So Mike, are you currently married, or do you have any children?
No, I'm single.
Okay, great, great. And I see from here that you're currently a contractor?
Yes, sir.
Great, and you've been doing that for the last 2 years?
Yep. about 2
Awesome.
years.
And then you previously were a landscaper.
Mm-hmm.
All right. How long did you do that for?
That was about 4 years.
4 years. Okay. So, Mike, what caused you to move from going from landscaping to construction?
Construction pays better.
Okay.
for
So
sure.
so increased pay. So if something came along that gave you maybe more time and more money, you would definitely take a look at that.
Oh, of course.
Okay. And so, what do you like to do for fun?
I like to hunt and
Awesome.
and hike.
Awesome. So we have a lot in common then. Yeah, I'm a big bow hunter. Love
Oh,
that.
nice.
Awesome. So, Mike, listen, do you see yourself being a contractor the rest of your life? Is that something you enjoy, or what would be a dream job for you?
I definitely don't want to be a laborer for the rest of my
Okay.
life. Maybe as long as it was supervision or management, maybe. A dream job, I would like to open my own business.
Okay, great. And why would you want to open up your own business? Maybe more control, more time, more money, things like that?
Yeah, definitely more money and, get to stay in the office.
Okay,
So.
excellent. So you're not married to what you do. That's obviously why you're here today.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mike, let me ask you this question. Have you ever asked yourself, there's got to be a better way?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. When's the last time you've asked yourself that question?
Probably yesterday when I was working.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I used to ask myself that question all the time. I was a roofer with a theology degree, and I tell you, that roof, it was either too hot, too cold, or it was just too high. And when Primerica found me, I had no experience at all in this, but I was willing to reinvent myself. I was willing to develop some skill sets because for me, I wanted off the roof real bad. So I was like you. I asked that question every single day. Okay, don't ask that anymore. I absolutely love what I do. But Mike, I see that you listed some personal character references. I saw you put Eric Wolf,
Mm-hmm.
and that's your father. So I would assume he would say some really good things about you if we call.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, good. And then we've got Deb Gerard, and she's your aunt, and she'll say good things.
Yes, sir.
And then we've got Matt Spangenberg,
Yes, sir.
right? And he's your current boss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would he be okay if I called and checked on your character, or would that get you in trouble at your job if I called?
No, that'll be fine.
That would be fine.
Mhm.
Okay. And then Tim Anger, he's an old teacher.
Yep, high school teacher.
High school. What did he teach?
Math.
Math. Okay. And he was an influence to
Yes,
you.
sir.
Good.
Yep.
And he'd say great things about you.
As far as I know.
Okay. How long has it been since you've talked to Tim?
I go to church with him.
Oh, so you see him all the time.
Yes.
Good. And then Jesse Lytle is an old boss to you, and
Mhm.
you guys left on good terms.
Yes.
Okay, so he would say good things about
Mhm.
you as well, guys. It's great to go through those 5 interviews, STEAM names we like to call them, because that's a great way for you to create activity for yourself. You'll be able to maybe call those folks on behalf of Mike, maybe use it as a chance to bring them in for an interview or a chance to set up an appointment for Mike to get him out into the field very, very quickly, especially if you need to create activity for Mike right away. So it's worth spending a little bit of time in doing that. So if Mike, if at any point today when we're talking you feel like this is not for you, will you stop me?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because I don't want to waste your time, and I really don't want to waste my time as well. But you'll do that for me.
Yes.
Okay, great. And on the other hand, if at any time I feel like this is not for you, I'm going to stop the appointment because I don't want you to get your hopes up about starting something you're not going to be successful at. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good. So, Mike, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how helpful would an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month be for you, part-time or spare time?
10.
10. Okay, perfect. So you're a very motivated person.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, excellent, excellent. That's the right answer. I love talking to motivated people. I find that there's 3 types of people that start working with us. Like, one is as a silent partner, and they average about 0 hours a week. They get their licenses. They refer us to others. They don't have any of the interaction with the client or the paperwork or have to service that person. And we go out and we split the sale with them, and they average anywhere between $400 to $600 a month with us. Okay. The second person is a spare time person, and they get their licenses and they occasionally help families as they find time, and they'll average anywhere between $500 to $1,500 a month with us. Okay. And then the third person is a part-time. They get licensed, they put in about 5 to 10 hours a week, and then make time to consistently be on at least 2 appointments per week as they learn the process with us. And they'll average anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000 a month.
Okay.
So, Mike, based on your schedule, which one of those three do you feel would be the best fit for you?
I could probably invest 10 hours a week.
Okay, so part-time is kind of like the best thing for you?
That would be best.
Excellent. And so you heard that a license was required in any one of those positions, okay? So you have to get licensed. The bad news is that it's boring. But the good news is you'll never have to do it again. All right? And so I know I said it was boring because it was boring for me, but there's others in my office that they actually enjoyed those classes, okay? I see you don't have anything in your background that prevents you from getting those licenses. There's no felonies. There's no misdemeanors or anything like that. Okay. So the licenses cost about $1,500 in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay. But the good news is that Primerica is willing to subsidize $1,400 out of the $1,500. Right.
Wow.
The only thing that Primerica requires is that you put a one-time refundable licensing deposit of $99 down. Okay, and you'll get that back once you complete your class in 30 days, and that you go on 2 successful training appointments with us. Okay? So, Mike, whose job is it to complete the class?
That would be mine.
Yours. Okay, and if you do, it's free, and if you don't, you're out $99. But hardly any capital investment, right? Okay. So, do you have any issues with funding a $99 licensing deposit for us to get your background check and everything done?
No, I could come up with that.
Okay, good. Now, last question is there anyone that you need to talk to before you kind of get involved with us on a part-time basis, or do you make your own decisions?
No, it's just me at this point.
Okay, perfect. So all the decision makers are here. All right.
Yes.
Well, great. Let's kind of dive in to what we do, and so, Mike, I want to kind of just share with you a quick concept before I kind of dive into a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how we do that. Have you ever heard of a book or read a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad?
I think I saw it in Barnes & Noble.
Okay, and it's a book that I picked up several years ago, and I got intrigued by a chapter called the Cash Flow Quadrant. And inside that, he talks about there's 4 ways to earn income in America, and Mike, that's legally in America. And those 4 ways are employee, self-employed, business owner, and an investor. Okay, and so when we talk about the 4 ways to earn income, you know, most people want to talk about making more income because they want to increase their quality of life. And so, Mike, when I talk about quality of life, that usually means people want more of what 2 things? More what and more what?
Probably more money and more time freedom.
That's correct, yeah. So quality of life for most people equals time and money, right? And so what I'm doing, guys, right here is I'm drawing quality of life equals more, that's a money sign, plus a little clock pointing to 3 o'clock. So time and money. And so, Mike, as I kind of go through the quadrants, I always like to tie it to the 2 things that we want the most of, time and money. So as an employee, who controls the employee's time?
The boss.
The boss does. The employee tells us when to show up, when to take break, when to leave, how many days we can go on vacation. They'll even tell us how many days we're allowed to be sick, right? So they control that, right? And who also controls the employee's money?
The boss.
The boss does, right? So the employee basically tells us what we're worth. And we've got to build our lifestyle around what that number is, right? Because it says here the employee has a job, and the income is based on the position, not the person, okay? But most people fall into this quadrant, right? The employee quadrant, a large majority of folks. And so the reason why so many people go into this quadrant is because they like the word guaranteed, okay? Now I'm using a felt tip pen, guys, just so you can see that, but you don't normally do that. But here I write the word guaranteed. And so the only thing that's guaranteed in the employee quadrant is a paycheck. You know, Mike, we all have guaranteed bills each month, right? The mortgage, the rent, the car loan, the electric bill, the phone bill, right? And so it's because we have guaranteed bills, we want to have a what? Guaranteed paycheck, right? And so the paycheck is only guaranteed as long as we have a job. But our job isn't guaranteed, right? That can be taken out from us whenever we want. But so many people are in this quadrant because of that guaranteed paycheck. But yet people tell me they want quality of life. They want more time, more money. But in the employee quadrant, we really have no control. Okay, we give up the very two things we want to have that guaranteed paycheck. Okay, now some folks say, hey, I want to have a little bit more control, so they become self-employed. And all a self-employed person is they own a job, right? And so dentists, doctors, lawyers, they can make great money as a self-employed person, but they're still trading time for dollars. They get to choose what their hour is worth, right? When I before Primerica, I was a roofer. I owned a little business called Fisher Home Improvements, and all my friends and all my family said I owned a business because I had a business card that said so. But what I discovered after reading this book, Robert Kiyosaki said the definition of a business owner is someone who can walk away for up to 6 months and it makes a profit without him. And I said, wow, I don't have a business like that. And how do I find a business like that? And so what I discovered was, as a self-employed person, I really had limited control. And I write LC there, limited control. Because I can only control one thing at a time. I mean, if it was a nice day like it is today, I could say, hey, I'll jump off the roof, I'll put my belt in the truck, it's 2 o'clock, and I'll go to the golf course, right? And so I didn't have to ask a boss to be able to take some time off. But if there wasn't shingles being nailed on the roof, well, I wasn't making any money. So even though I could control my time, I couldn't control my money, right? As long as I was on the roof, I was no different than an employee, just trading time for dollars, right? And so hairstylists, real estate agents, salespeople, bloggers, they all kind of fit into that quadrant. They own their job. Over here we see a business owner. Now a business owner owns a system. They have other people working for them. Mike, do you know of anyone? You said you wanted to own a business someday. Do you know someone who's a successful business owner that has other people working for them that gives them that quality of life?
No, small business owners.
Okay.
They're still working though.
Gotcha. So they're not really controlling both time and money. They're really kind of
still
maybe
self-employed.
Self-employed, yeah. Okay. And so a business owner really has control, because they have the ability to control both the time and the money. They have others working for them. They may even have a machine that never stops working. It works 24/7. It never gets tired. It never gets sick. It never gets hurt. It never gets pregnant. It just keeps on working, right? Others may have a website or an app that constantly is working and bringing money in for them. And so when most people tell me they want to own a business, it's because they know somebody, they see the quality of life that they have, and it really comes down to they control both time and money, and we have to figure out, how they were able to do that. Now the fourth way to make money is as the investor, and they basically have money working for them. Kind of a bad example, but a recognizable example would be kind of like a Donald Trump. I mean, he's like the elite. I mean, he's got money making money, he owns buildings, he owns other businesses. We like to say that he has complete freedom, right? And so, Mike, if I were to ask you, based on this information, which 2 ways to earn income would appeal the most to you? And which 2 ways would you pick, if you could pick any 2?
Business and investor.
Yeah, so you would pick this side, the business owner and the investor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But where are most people?
In the employee.
Yeah, most people are over here, right? And so we know that it's tough for people just to jump from employee to business owner, because there's some risk involved. There's time, money, knowledge, just all that brings along fear, right? So even though that's where we want to be, fear really keeps us from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Mike, there was another class that I actually took because I felt like I was never taught anything about money, never learned anything about kind of business, learned it on the street. Mm-hmm. But I took a class from a guy named Sandy Botkin, all right? And he wrote a book called Lower Your Taxes Big Time. But the class that I took was Tax Strategies for Small Business Owners. Sounds very boring, but I actually did learn a lot. Mike, do you know that there's 2 tax codes in America?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. Well, the 2 tax codes work like this. There's the W-2, and then there's the 1099. So we've got W-2, and then we've got 1099. So a W-2 is an employee, right? They make their money, they get taxed, and then they get in their paycheck whatever's left, right? Mm-hmm. A 1099, it makes their money, spends their money, and then only pays taxes on what's left. And so usually I'll pull this up on my phone and I would show this to Mike, but I'll just use this sheet right here. And I'll say, Mike, look what Sandy Botkin says about taxes. It's kind of kind of the heading of chapter 1 seems a little crass, but at the same time kind of funny. It says why you would be, what's that word? Brain dead, right? He says brain dead. Why you would be brain dead not to start a home-based business if you haven't already, if you don't already have one. I mean, I'm not sure if he's talking about the multi-level marketing type businesses where they have juices and energy drinks and all that, type of stuff. And I'm not knocking them at all, because he says you got to own a home-based business. And so you could pick up this book and read through the chapter, but he leaves this little gray box with a bunch of bullet points, right? So if we can read the bullet points, probably take the quiz and at least pass. And so the first bullet point says this: you'll never get rich until you learn to get your taxes down to the legal minimum. Okay? And so he says there are 2 tax systems in this country, one for salaried employees and one for home-based business owners. And so a home-based business will make you better off than a second income. So what he's saying is this: he goes, a lot of people want to make extra money or want to get ahead, and so they'll go down to the Home Depot and put the orange smock on, or they'll go down to the Lowe's and put the blue smock on. And what all they're doing is they're putting themselves in that W-2 tax code, and they're making more income, but they're also going up in a higher tax bracket and giving it more of it back to the government. And so you're not really getting ahead. It says you'll never get rich until you learn to get your taxes down to the legal minimum. That's why I made 3 times more income than most of my family members that pay 3 times less taxes. See, when you're in the 1099, you have something called Schedule C. And you're able to write off things that we spend on anyway, like phone bills and electric bills and water bills and rent and mortgage and miles on our car. And sometimes we can even write out the things that when we eat out, depending on what we're doing when we eat out. And so you can really start to lower your taxes. And so, Mike, if you had an office at home, all those things you'll be able to start writing off, and you'll be able to start lowering your taxes big time. Another bullet point says that traditional job security has declined over the years and will continue to do so, making home businesses more attractive. And that's just so true. I mean, the headlines really tell the story. The headlines aren't saying employers paying the employees more money, giving the employees more benefits. No, what's really happening, Mike? The headlines are saying what?
Less benefits.
Yeah, less benefits, less
pay.
job, less pay, right? And so we see more and more people heading into more home-based type businesses, okay? And so we're not multi-level marketing in Primerica, but we allow people to come in part-time, no quotas, and we use some of those recruiting buzzwords, but we're kind of more like a real estate type model, a broker agent type of business. And then it says, the last point says you'll probably save about $2,000 to $10,000 per year by starting your own part-time business. So because of those, you get to give yourself a Schedule C. You'll be able to write off so many things you've never been able to write off before.
Wow.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so as I talk to you about our company, Primerica, okay, what I want you to understand is this, Mike, is that when you sign your application with Primerica and get involved with us and join our team, you are not in the employee quadrant. You're not here, okay? Mm-hmm. The last thing you want in your life, Mike, is another boss, right? All a boss is a double SOB spelled backwards, and I'm not interested in being that person. What I want to be for you, Mike, is your mentor, your coach, your friend, your business partner. Does that make sense? And so the quadrant that you'll actually start out in is in the self-employed quadrant, okay? So you're a contractor, you're here, you can remain here, but Primerica will also allow you to be in this quadrant as well. Mm-hmm. Now, I run trainings on Friday night from 7:30 to 9:30. They're completely voluntary, but the more you show up, the more you'll learn, the more you learn, the more you're going to like, and the more you like, the more you'll do, okay? Mm-hmm. And the whole purpose of my meetings is not to teach you how to be self-employed, okay? You have to go to class. You've got to pass your test, right? And we'll help you do all those things, but you got to actually be the one that takes the test, right? Mm-hmm. You'll make the decision whether to show up to our training meetings or not, right? And so my job is not to motivate you to do that. You have to be self-motivated. But when you show up, you'll find is that my system will teach you how to move in to the business owner quadrant. So we'll move you from self-employed to business owner. And I can do that. I can teach you how to do that because I've done that for myself. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me show you a little bit about our company. Have you ever heard of Primerica before?
No.
Okay. So you kind of see this photo here. That was April 1st, 2010. We were owned by Citigroup for about 20, 25 years, and we broke away from them very successfully. You may remember 2008. I don't know,
I was pretty young.
You were pretty young. Okay. Well, Citigroup basically needed some bailout money from the government. Okay, and that year our company made a profit, and we didn't want to be associated with them anymore. And so we asked them if we could go to the New York Stock Exchange, and we were the most successful IPO or stock at the end of 2010. So Citigroup was able to take our success and pay back the government. They're happy, and we got our independence as PRI on the New York Stock Exchange, and we're happy. And so we've grown the last 5 years, and we're the largest financial services company in North America. Like I said, we're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. You can go to NYSE.com, type in PRI. Okay, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and we're A+ superior with AM Best. And so, have you ever heard of AM Best before?
No.
Okay. Well, AM Best basically ranks the financial strength and stability of a financial services company, and we've got their highest rating. And not a lot of companies can say that, but we can say that. We're excited about that. Okay. And there's a huge need for what we're doing, Mike. I mean, the headlines. You can go back and read this later. I'll leave this with you. Basically says that debt's up, savings down, and bankruptcies on the rise. And you would agree people probably need help in the area of finances, right?
Oh, for sure.
And so our mission statement, Mike, is simply this: is to help families earn more income and become properly protected, debt-free, and financially independent. And so, Mike, that first part, to help you earn more income, I think that's the greatest thing that Primerica offers to families, is the opportunity to come in, be in that self-employed quadrant, create a chance for them to earn more money, no matter what your background is, but a chance to try, right? And then ultimately help families make sure they have the right life insurance protection, have a strategy, get out of debt, and then become that financially independent. I love the word independent. We could use the word wealthy, but we're not trying to get people wealthy. We're trying to get them independent. Because, Mike, what's the opposite of independent?
Dependent.
Dependent, right? And so most people in retirement are dependent. They're dependent on Social Security, or maybe they're dependent on a pension, right? But we feel like there's really a three-legged stool in retirement. Grandma is okay because she's got a pension and Social Security, and even if she messed up on the personal savings, she's going to be okay. But Mike, how do you feel? Do you have a pension?
No.
No. And how do you feel about the future of Social Security?
I probably won't get much of it.
Yeah, you don't feel very secure about this. So the two things on your three-legged stool are kind of missing. So the personal savings part, the making money part, you got to get right. You've got to figure that out, right? But we really find that there's three problems in America, right? One is there's really a lack of financial education, right? I mean, did you ever have an extensive financial course or anything in finance in your schooling at all?
No.
No. So no one really taught you how money works.
No.
So how do you feel about that?
Not ready. Not ready for saving.
Yeah. Okay. But if a course were available and you probably would have taken it or been interested in that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like they gave us a lot of math and science and history and English and algebra, but I think money is a tool that we use every day. It's really a life skill that we need to be taught, and we're never taught. So really, no education. The second thing is we really have a lack of I'm trying to think, a financial coach, right? And so, do you ever get the vibe that Wall Street's always just trying to sell us products? They're always just trying to treating us like a number. Do you get that vibe from them at all?
Yeah, from the movies.
Yeah, we get that vibe all the time. And then we know that having a plan is good, and there's really a lack of plans. People know they can get a plan. It costs them $1,000. It costs them $200, but they don't want to spend that, right? And Mike, we know having a plan is better than not having a plan, right?
Yeah.
Right. And if one were available and it were free, would most people take advantage of that?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you'd probably take advantage of that
definitely
too.
would. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we do. Is like we teach people how money works. Okay. So if you came on board with me and joined my team, we would teach you all about money. But more importantly, we provide what's called a financial needs analysis. That's a written plan that we do, that we can offer to people. And so if you're sitting here and you're all excited, you're like, man, this makes sense, Aaron, but you're probably sitting there thinking, where do I get my leads, or where do I get my clients, right? Have you thought that yet?
Yeah, since I came in.
Absolutely, and I know I thought that too. But Mike, what happens is people see so much value. Let's say you got started with us, you got licensed, and we wanted to get you trained. And you said, hey, I'd rather get trained with mom and dad versus strangers. And we sat down with mom and dad, and we showed them our training presentation, and they saw value. They said, wow, Mike, you're going to do that for families? Hey, we would benefit from that. Or, hey, you need to talk to Aunt Sally or Uncle Bill or Pastor Tom or my brother, or you talk to your sister, right? And they start telling people about you, and then you're sitting down with those referrals, and they're starting to refer people to you. And so you start getting a great referral base in where you don't have to worry about where your leads come from, okay? Now, something that I discovered later in my career that I wish I would have figured out earlier in my career, that instead of looking for clients, I found it was a lot easier to maybe find people who wanted to make an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month. I mean, I couldn't be the only one in town that wanted to make some extra income learning these things, right? And so I started to recruit 3 or 4 people a month, and they started setting 4, 5, 6 appointments a month that they needed field trained. And if you do the math, 5 people going on 4 or 5 appointments, I mean, I was 20, 25 appointments right there where I never picked up the phone. And so I had more fun on those appointments than I actually did working my referral appointments. But the point is this, Mike, is I got good at both of those, and my business, I can turn on those 2 things any time. And so there's always places to go, there's always people to see. Okay? And so what Primerica does is this, they put a variety of products and services together. Mike, do you recognize any of these companies here on the sheet?
Yeah, I've seen MetLife and
Okay.
Lincoln.
MetLife and Lincoln?
And Franklin Templeton.
Excellent. And so there's over 40 companies that we could list on here, and not all of them are listed, but we like to say this, when big companies compete, our families win. It's kind of like going on the Travelocity or Expedia or Priceline to buy a plane ticket. And you could buy your plane ticket with Southwest on there, and a lot of times it could be cheaper buying it from Priceline than actually going on the Southwest website. And the answer simply is we get big companies competing so that we win. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? So let me kind of give you an example of how we helped a particular family here in our office. We just changed their name. We call them John and Mary. They're age 30, and they've got 2 children. Okay? And so this is kind of a before and an after. So F&A stands for that financial needs analysis that we do for free. Okay? That value piece. And so when we first called them, at first they kind of said, well, we already have life insurance, or we already have a retirement account, so we're going to be okay, but just we'll hear what you have to say, that one of those kind of deals. And so John and Mary had as far as debt, they had a $165,000 mortgage, 3 credit cards that totaled $13,000 of credit card debt, and we were able to put together a strategy for them that eliminated their debt much, much faster and saved them money and interest. Okay? But what you see is, though, they had a $165,000 mortgage, but when you look at their life insurance, if John passed away, Mary only had $150,000 on him. So if he died, she'd get $150,000. That wouldn't even be enough to pay off the mortgage, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, Wall Street Journal says we need about 8 to 10 times our annual salary and life insurance coverage. And so if John and Mary were each making $40,000 a year, 10 times means they would need about $400,000 of coverage. Okay, so currently John and Mary, $150,000 each, nothing on the kids, paying $285 a month. But the needs analysis said, John and Mary, you need $400,000 on each, and we put $10,000 on the kids. But the good thing is, it's not going to cost them more money. Most people think it would cost them more. But the reality is we put a 35-year level term on them. So in 35 years, John's going to be 65 years old. The mortgage is going to be paid. The debt's going to be gone. The kids are going to be gone and out of the house, right? So his need for life insurance is dramatically going to decrease, if not go away, at age 65. But in the early years, he needs to rent a large pile of money, right? In the later years, he's going to hopefully accumulate a pile of money so he won't have to rent it forever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we gave him more coverage for less money. In fact, it only cost him $126 a month. So, Mike, you'll notice that when I was looking at your interview sheet, here, I wasn't looking for any sales experience or anything like that because we really don't need salespeople. See, Mike, it's pretty simple. It's not rocket science. It's if Mr. and Mrs. Klein, if I can give you more coverage for less money, could I earn your business?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, if that were you, if I can give you more coverage over 35 years and you could pay less for it, you'd make a change, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, it's that simple. It's not really hard what we do. We just have to be able to show people, okay? We were also able to save them money on their car insurance. We helped them get a will, and then we looked at their retirement piece. They had $20,000 at the bank in an IRA, earning 1.5%. They were putting $100 away. So by the time they were 65 years old, they'd have $89,000 saved. And Mike, it's not rocket science. You would know if you were 65, you wouldn't stay retired very long, right?
Right.
How comfortable would you feel with $89,000?
It wouldn't last long.
No, exactly. And so what we did was we introduced them to some of our mutual fund partners. We have 13 of them. We could pick any one we want, and be able to put together an allocation. If they average 6%, retire with $500,000. If they average 9%, have about $1.2 to $1.3 million. Okay, and so which is better, 89,000 or $500,000?
$500,000.
Right. So it's not rocket science here. And so, Mike, if you were to get your licenses with us, and if you just got licensed in the area of insurance, this one client here would have paid you about $700 as a part-timer with us.
Wow.
Okay? And then if you add your securities license to be able to do that, you'd make about an extra $400. So about $1,000 to $1,100 in 2 hours, and with 2 products helping that client. Okay? And so, obviously, if you helped one family a week, you could kind of do the math as to what the upside potential is here.
Yeah.
So, Mike, is there anything that I said in my presentation that you feel like you couldn't do or that you couldn't learn?
No, if I heard it enough times,
Okay.
I'll learn it.
Is it something that you feel you can get excited about?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So Mike, how quickly would you like to start making extra money?
Right away.
Okay. And so what we'd have to do, Mike, is we've got to get you an application and get it approved down at our home office, get you registered for class, and kind of do your orientation. We can either do that right now, or we can schedule you to come back and do that during your orientation.
Okay. Yeah, we could probably do it next some other day.
Okay. So today is Monday, so why don't we go ahead and get you come back here on Wednesday of this week?
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
Excellent. All right, Mike, I appreciate your time. In fact, why don't you I drew all over this, so why don't you take this with you, go back and read it, and I look forward to seeing you Wednesday, let's say, same time around 2 o'clock.
All right,
Make
works
sense?
for me.
Excellent.